Hey guys, it's the Loud Guys. Today we are going to watch 20 things only Americans do and think it is normal. What are those things? Because we have seen Americans do some really crazy things. Like on if we see American rodeo, like that is also something I think so. It is very specific to American people only, and I think so. It is more specific to Texas people only and how those guys do it. But yes, so there are a lot of American things because they just like to do some weird things and then they make a whole sport out of it. Because I have also seen one sport where they just hold a tea bag or a very heavy bag and they just throw the bag, and then there is a place out there and or there is a table out there and there is a hole in that table and you just have to put it in the hole. So I just feel like, why was this game even invented? But then Americans invented, and because they have all the money, so then they even sponsor everything. They bring on sponsors and then they make a world championship out of it. Like only you guys are playing it, but still there is a world championship. So let's see what are the other 20 things that Americans do that they think are normal.
And yes, I'm also so much excited to see this video. And previously we have also seen a video basically where we saw that you guys promote your children to do real basically real bullfighting, something like that. Basically on that children sit above the basically a bull, and that bull roam, and that bull just took the children out from him. This is very famous in India, but here we do not do this in the real bull. We do it in the fake bull. So that thing was so weird and so new for me. And previously we have also seen so many videos where you guys are doing so many weird things, and some of them are so cool. So yeah, I'm so much excited to see that what are these 20 things which only American do, and I hope this video is going to be very interesting. So yeah, let's watch the video.
And also it's a Watch Mojo video, so I'm expecting very interesting things out of it. So let's start the video.
Good call on these outfits, dude.
It's the only call. You know what I mean?
Welcome to Watch Mojo, and today we're counting down our picks for the top 20 things only Americans do.
Get a ton of shit.
For this list, we're looking at common beliefs and practices in the United States. They don't need to be exclusively American, just something that Americans are known for.
Oh.
If there's something uniquely American that didn't make our list, unite in the comments to state your picks. Number 20, refer to the USA as America.
America. USA. No, I've seen many people do USA.
Outside of the United States of America, referring to the country as America is much less commonplace. After all, there are 2 entire continents called America, comprising like 35 distinct nations. Referring to only one country on one of those continents as America too is really confusing for anyone who doesn't live there.
From this day forward, it's going to be only America first. America first.
Calling it the US, USA, the United States, or just the States is much more common in the rest of the world. Even so, everyone still calls its residents Americans, which isn't confusing at all.
You can't say it, but you know it's true.
Number 19, throw gender reveal parties.
This is very
Cultures
specific
all
to
over
USA.
have traditions to prepare expecting parents and celebrate the expected birth of a child.
Thank you so much for throwing me this baby
And
shower.
the biggest difference between India and US is that we cannot even do gender reveal parties. Because in India it is illegal to know the gender of the baby before the baby is born, and that is because of female infanticide. Because there were a lot of people used to do sonography and they used to determine the baby is a girl and they used to kill those babies. So that is why there is a proper law that you cannot do that. So I think so the law is for the good. But yes, if we might improve our society, then we might also do that, and then we might also have these big gender reveal parties.
And day before yesterday, I saw a video on Instagram basically where they were doing this gender revealing party, and that gender revealing party gone wrong. Basically, we all know that there are 2 colors which came out from the balloon. One is blue and another one is pink. But on that party, there came a green color. So that was a wrong, gender revealing party. So that was so funny, and everybody, got shocked. And when they, blow out the balloon, so when the green color came, so from the back side of the door also a green color, alien came. So everybody started, panicking, and everybody started yelling that what is this happening. So that video was so funny. So let's watch the video.
I feel so welcome to the neighborhood.
Of course!
However, Americans have really taken the concept and run with it. An entire industry has been built around baby showers, as well as their modern relatives' gender reveal parties. Emerging in the 2000s, the latter have become infamous for sometimes absurd levels of showmanship. Some over-the-top reveals have been responsible for injuries and even disasters. They remain somewhat controversial, with many people, including Americans, not really getting why they're often made into such big deals.
I don't know why, but I'm like gonna cry.
Oh my gosh, why are you gonna cry?
Because I'm just really happy for you.
You look like it.
You look like you're happy.
Number 18. Experience huge bathroom stall gaps.
Why? Oh.
God.
Every country's restrooms have their own quirks, like different sinks and toilet bowls. The US is known for having a high volume of water in their bowls and large gaps in their bathroom stalls, both under the door and between the door and the walls. Visitors can be taken aback at the lack of privacy.
Yes.
Some hold that they're designed for easy cleaning or construction. Others that it allows one to check which stalls are occupied, although occupancy indicators on the locks can do that too.
Yeah.
So you can see if there's someone in there.
Isn't that why we have locks on the door?
Well, as a backup system, in case a lock is broken, you can see if it's taken.
A backup system?
It might also make it more difficult to get up to no good in there. Whatever the case, public bathrooms in the US are built for speed, not comfort.
Would you just sit down and go to the bathroom already?
Number 17. Have pharmacies that sell groceries.
Yes.
In most of the world, pharmacies sell
Pharmacies sell
pharmaceuticals. While you will see
I know, and they even sell
tangentially related
drinks.
items like grooming products or hygienic things like toothbrushes, pharmacies don't usually carry food or toys. But in the US, that's much more common. The country is all about the all-in-one experience. Not only will dedicated grocery stores have pharmacies built in, but pharmacies will also carry groceries. Granted, the selection isn't always great, but if you're desperate for milk and the grocery store is closed or you just don't feel like crossing the street to get there, you can get some. While most of the world still limits drugstores to drugs and self-care products, we have a feeling this one might catch on.
In India, this
Number
is not
16,
possible at all.
Vote before they can drink.
Huh?
Worldwide, the age at which a person can legally drink alcohol is most commonly 18. The age usually considered to be adulthood, though it is even earlier in some countries. The voting age on a global scale is also generally 18, for similar reasons. Although, of course, there are exceptions.
The Voting Rights Act of 1970 lowered the voting age to 18 for national elections, and the 26th Amendment made the change
No,
to
in
18.
India, it is like the voting age is 18. And the drinking age is different in each of the states, but it is normally either 21 or it could be 25 also. In some states it is 25, that high, but of course nobody follows and everybody drinks. But yes, there is the legal age is that and voting age is 18 only.
Permanent for all elections.
And 18 is where it has stayed for the past 50 years.
However, the United States requires young adults to wait 3 years after being able to vote before legally being allowed to drink at 21. This was enacted during the 1980s to prevent alcohol-related driving accidents.
This law has been an
Very
abysmal
good.
failure. It hasn't reduced or eliminated drinking. It has simply driven it underground, behind closed doors, into the most risky and least manageable of settings.
While it helped in the short term, ultimately it hasn't really stopped teenagers from drinking.
Yeah,
The result
it
is
can
that
never.
many people, both inside and outside the US, question the logic of why an 18-year-old American can decide who forms the government but not get buzzed.
The reality is everyone drinks before they turn 21. That's why when you go out for your first legal drink, you have to react with that faux surprise like you've never heard of alcohol.
We have all seen
Ooh, what is this
Incredible.
alcohol taste like? Oh, it's unusual. Oh, this is true.
Number 15, get free refills.
Yeah.
One of the biggest differences between American restaurants and the rest of the world are their drink services.
India is starting to do
Most
this.
American and many
On
Canadian
some days,
restaurants
like
and other
on free
establishments
refills on
will offer
vendors'
at
days.
least one free refill of a non-alcoholic drink.
I have heard that it is also allowed in Starbucks now.
Yeah.
Where is it going?
The idea is that because of the low cost of drinks, particularly fountain soft drinks, offering a refill won't hurt the establishment's bottom line, particularly if drinks are not the primary source of income. However, the idea has been slow to catch on in the rest of the world, and it's nowhere near as consistently offered. Some countries have raised concern that a practice like this can lead to an increase in obesity. Number 14, tip service personnel.
All right, everybody.
Yeah, this is very big. And tipping is okay in India, but 15, 20, 25% tipping is too much.
But it is not compulsory. In America, it is compulsory.
Huh.
No, I don't believe in it.
While the concept of tipping waitstaff or other people in the service industry is known worldwide, few countries have embraced the concept to the degree the US has.
Labor movements declare the practice undemocratic, and anti-tipping legislation was enacted across several states.
Legislation?
But restaurants and rail operators, like the Pullman Company, embraced tipping because it allowed them, among other things, to hire recently freed slaves without having to pay them.
Many workers, particularly in the restaurant industry, rely on gratuities to get by, in part because laws allow managers to pay sub-minimum wages to tipped workers. However, in various other countries, tipping is seen as insulting. They're just doing their jobs after all.
Each year, Americans spend $40 billion on tips.
$40
That's more than we spend on
billion.
foreign aid and more than we spend on gambling. And like gambling, it's not entirely clear that tipping makes any sense in the first place.
While some countries' workers certainly appreciate it, it isn't expected like it is in the US. Mostly because employees are paid a high enough baseline salary that they don't need tips to survive.
Restaurant owners still pay their servers less than minimum wage, turning what used to be a bribe into an obligation that makes the end of every meal suck.
Very same in this regard.
The is probably the best in the world.
India is
as
very
it should
same
be,
in this
since
regard.
it's also one of the best funded militaries in the world. In fact, the US spends several times more on their military than their nearest competitor, China. What's more, there are more than a few American citizens who have a higher than average fascination with their own military and its culture.
I thank you as your commander-in-chief because you inspire me. Your willingness to serve, to step forward at a time of war and say, send me, is the reason the United States stays strong and free.
While other countries certainly appreciate their troops, you don't, see as many people wearing camouflage as a legitimate fashion statement.
No, in India you can't see that.
You don't see movies made elsewhere that glorify the military to the degree that the US does.
Do me a favor. Tell my children I love them very much.
In India also a lot of military movies are coming up.
All right, you alien assholes. In the words of my generation, up yours!
Part of the American enthusiasm is certainly rooted in patriotism. Still, it may also be a reaction to an increasingly anti-military sentiment that has popped up over the last several decades.
No war, okay? No war, okay? Oh, here you go, boys. These will help you protest. It's good to see that you care about peace, boys, okay?
Number 12, use red plastic cups.
Yeah.
If you've ever seen an American movie where a college party happens, chances are you've seen characters drinking from red cups.
Yes. I never knew that this was a tradition. I thought it was just a part of it.
These red plastic or solo cups are everywhere in the US. The cheap drinking containers are a favorite at parties, both for their durability and their ease of use in party games. While they're also handy for crafts or gardening, they're most famous for their intended purpose. However, the rest of the world either doesn't have the United States party culture's emphasis on kegs or lacks the same distinctive cups, originally manufactured by the Solo Cup Company. At most, you might see them at a novelty American-themed party. Number 11, wear shoes inside. Taking
India,
off
it's
your
a strict
shoes
no-no.
before you enter a home, or at least in the entryway, is pretty common etiquette in many countries.
Don't do that. Why'd you take your shoes off? So I don't break your nose.
And while many Americans do prefer to keep footwear off their floors, it isn't a hard and fast rule like it is in other places. Often it will depend on whether the person has carpeted floors or hardwood floors, with the latter considered easier to clean. Since it's not considered the norm though, asking guests to take off their shoes indoors can come across as rude or fussy, and so is often avoided. Number 10,
India, you will be
peanut
asked
butter
that.
as their go-to spread. Peanuts are grown and eaten in many parts of the world. But it's the United States and Canada that do most of the peanut butter eating.
Peanut butter man now, is there?
I don't like it.
Yes, I believe I am. I thoroughly enjoy this peanut butter.
A lot of countries see it as a niche or even unpleasant taste. Others have a spread that is more culturally ingrained like Nutella. The USA cannot get enough of peanut butter though, consuming over 1 billion pounds of it annually. January 24th is even National Peanut Butter Day. It's a cheap source of protein that most American children grow up eating, so it's no wonder that it's a comfort food for many of them. Number 9, work too much.
Work too
Americans
much?
are workaholics, at least compared to basically every other country in the world. The majority of Americans work more than 40 hours a week.
Why do we do this to ourselves?
I don't think so,
Well, the
because-
conventional answer is that this attitude towards work makes the American economy the envy of the world. America is a hectic, turbocharged
42
system
hours are
that builds,
just 7
destroys,
to 8 hours a
rebuilds,
week,
all
or
at warp
8 to
speed.
9 hours.
They also tend to lack many of the things the rest of the world takes for granted, like paid holidays as well as sick and parental leave. Research has shown that
Actually, so
happier,
as
less
compared to
stressed
developed
workers do
world,
better
they
at
are
their
good,
jobs.
but
Iceland
as
even
compared to
recently tried
India,
a
no.
4-day work week that proved wildly successful.
There's lots of other benefits to a 4-day working week. It's not just the it's not just the mental health and economy, good for the economy. Also environmental benefits too. Evidence looks like when we're commuting less as a result of a 4-day week, that brings down emissions. Also, energy consumption goes down. So this is a policy that's win-win for the environment, for workers, for employers. What's not to like about it?
Several European countries take long breaks for lunch. While the American drive is admirable, grind culture becomes problematic when it costs workers their mental health and well-being. Number 8, make small talk with strangers.
Yeah.
Americans are
This
known
is
for
a
their
very good
friendliness
thing.
towards strangers, especially outside of big cities. It's not uncommon for Americans to smile at each other in passing, but their comfort with new people also
And it
extends
can
to
be so
small talk,
weird
saying
to
hello
talk
or even striking up a conversation out of the blue.
If you are seated in an emergency exit row,
I've learned it from Joey. Like, what
feel
you
you
do?
would be unable or unwilling to perform the duties listed on the safety card.
How you
Please
doing?
ask a flight
How you
attendant
doing?
to
How you
reseat
doing?
you.
In many countries, speaking to strangers unprompted can be seen as intrusive or even risky. Many Americans are masters of the art, though, often happy to chat with people they've never met about the weather, sports, or whatever else comes up in conversation.
Looks like a carrot, honey.
It looks like a carrot. Hi.
Number 7, casually own guns. In many countries, gun laws are strict and gun ownership is relatively rare.
In India
the
also,
US,
very
gun
rare.
ownership is protected by the Second Amendment, and gun ownership is the highest in the world. Despite making up 4% of the global population, Americans own 46% of civilian-held firearms.
My God.
There's a distinct
46.
gun culture, where gun ownership is celebrated or at least seen as important for personal safety. Most states even allow you to open carry.
But it's a lucky thing I had my pieces.
Your pieces.
My guns.
Oh.
Anyway, I started blasting. Bang! Bang!
Of course, the issue is extremely divisive due to the country's high rate of gun deaths. Either way, the idea of having so many guns around is a novel one for many visitors.
Guns. Lots of guns.
Number 6, put sales tax on everything.
Sales tax is paid when you buy something, and the business you purchased your goods from sends that money to the government. There are 2 types of sales tax: general sales tax and excise taxes. General sales tax is a tax levied on most goods you buy. Excise taxes are taxes levied only on certain items.
Most countries
This is
enact
the
a
same with
value
all
added
the countries,
tax
I
or
think so.
VAT on goods or services purchased within their borders.
Yeah.
These taxes are collected from every person in the supply chain, from the distributors to the consumers. The United States is one of the few to use sales tax, which not only vary wildly from state to state, but are only enacted after a purchase has been made.
The state treasury depends on sales taxes to pay for road repairs, education, and medical care for children, seniors, and the poor.
They're also not listed in the initial price. which can leave foreign visitors and many Americans scratching their head as to why they're being charged.
The thing will be of $10, then there will be a sales tax of $1.
Or worse. You decide. It's certainly more confusing.
What's the advice then? If you're going to buy a big ticket item, where's the cheapest sales tax?
Well, you can go online and look at all the sales tax rates for different cities, and if you look at one dealership or one, Best Buy or something like that, you can find the different zip codes and look at the sales tax rates and just see how much that'll little take off, and then take your family out for a nice night.
There you go.
Number 5, recite a pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America.
In many parts of the United States, school children, and adults in some settings, are expected to recite the Pledge of Allegiance.
Back then, in 1892, when it was written by Francis Bellamy, Bellamy was a Baptist minister, and in conjunction with a magazine called The Youth's Companion, he wrote this, at that time, 23-word Pledge of Allegiance.
This is an expression that they will be loyal to the USA, and is usually performed daily while looking at the nation's flag, which you will find hanging everywhere, by the way.
So I thought you do that with national anthem.
They might salute or respect their flag and country, but to make school children recite an oath to the country, the pledge has been the subject of plenty of controversy within the US too,
I thought it should be
particularly
national
since it
anthem.
mentions God. While some schools no longer require it, it remains a widespread practice.
Bottom line is, we all look different, sound different, but we are all on the same team.
Number 4, watch ads for prescription drugs. Aside from New Zealand, the United States is the only country in the world that advertises prescription drugs directly to consumers.
Yes, in India also we
Every
don't allow
day,
that.
Americans are bombarded with ads for prescription medications, featuring generic, pleasing imagery and a list of side effects longer than a flagpole.
Side effects may include upper respiratory infection, stuffy or runny nose, and sore throat and headache.
Many people, Americans included, are baffled by the practice, as doctors and not patients are meant to decide what drugs to prescribe.
Yes.
Proponents claim that advertising increases competition and lowers drug costs. Meanwhile, prescription drugs are typically far more expensive in the United States, as the US doesn't regulate or negotiate drug prices. Number 3, put months before days.
Yeah,
Most
this
of
is
humanity
very
marks
irritating.
calendar dates as being day first, then month, then year.
It's the date. Assuming the first two numbers are some big old space date, then you've got year, month, day. It's the other way around like it is in America.
Or else the opposite as year, month, then day. The reasoning is that you can go from the shortest value to the longest or vice versa. Yet the United States and parts of Canada eschew both these formats by putting the month first, then day,
Yeah,
then
like
year.
9/11.
The US has been using
We
this
call it
format
11/9.
basically since its founding, although it has used the day first format interchangeably too. The exact reason why is debatable, but as far as practicality goes, it can be useful when filling out forms to know which month it is before which day or year. Number 2, go bankrupt from healthcare. Medical costs are the cause of over 60% of all bankruptcies in the United States.
In 2017, 1/3 of the money raised on GoFundMe went towards medical campaigns.
Is it too
And the
costly?
site raises $650 million a year for more than 250,000 medical campaigns.
Americans experience a variety of unexpected charges while getting much needed care, from surprise bills to being charged for riding in an ambulance.
According to one study, 71% of all ambulance providers do not take the patient's insurance. That same study found that 79% of patients who took an ambulance could get a surprise bill, with an average total around $450.
In
$500 for an ambulance?
Even
That is
seeing
too
a medical
much.
bill can be an uncommon occurrence. Healthcare worldwide tends to be much more regulated than it is in the US. It's either funded through taxes and a single-payer system, or else through individual insurers who are more strictly monitored.
Other countries, they don't have this problem. Instead of every private insurance company negotiating with every healthcare provider, there's just this big list. Country, the central government, they go and they say, if you want to sell to us, to all of our people, then here's what you can charge for a checkup. Here's what you can charge for an MRI or a prescription for Lipitor.
Bottom line, while there can sometimes be extra charges, for most of the world, medical debt is basically unheard of, except in horror stories about the US.
Can't get a credit card. I can't buy a house.
Men and hopefully women to the moon.
Yeah, all and beyond.
Still are in gallons and inches. And when the entire world is metric, I do not understand this.
There are 3 countries in the world that don't use the metric system. Myanmar, Liberia, and the United States. Objectively,
Why?
metric is the less arbitrary measurement system since everything goes by tens. Even Britain and Commonwealth countries have converted.
The point is, the US system has always been a little more accessible than metric. Sure, stacking up 12 thumb widths to make a foot, that's still kind of weird, but it's not so weird that we're clamoring to change it.
Although admittedly, they do still use measurements like feet and inches casually.
So now I can't ask a distance when I visit another country. I'm like, how far is that? They're like, that's 500 kilometers. I'm not in the Olympics.
So why hasn't the US converted? We'll give you one guess. Did you say it's because of money? Because money is definitely a big factor. Converting to a whole new system of measurement is expensive. Other factors include a need for control and stability of the US. So, inertia, basically. Why change when you don't need to? And you know what your mom says? If all the other countries jumped off a bridge, would the US do it too? Or something like that.
No.
A 2015 Rasmussen poll asked Americans if we should switch to the metric system and adopt Celsius as our main temperature scale. 64% said no, while 21% said yes, and the remaining 15% was undecided. So it looks like we're perfectly fine with being different.
What a video it was. Seriously, we got to learn a lot of things about the America, about you guys, and there were also many things which we already knew. That first one was that you guys are so friendly, and we knew that. And second one was that there is a culture that it is compulsory to give tips in America. So we were also aware about it. And the only thing which was I was not aware about that pharmacy thing. I was not aware that in America in pharmacy shop you also sell food, products, and in India it is not like that. You can sell like face wash and all, but here there is no food supply. We do not sell basically food into the pharmacy shop. So that was a very new thing for me. And I was also aware about that public toilet and all. We also public toilet. So there were many things which we were aware about it. But yes, I was also not aware about it that the medical facility in America is too expensive. You cost if a person didn't take the insurance of the ambulance, so the ambulance will charge you $450, which is a very huge amount for an ambulance. But it is not same in India if you want to call the ambulance. So I do think that it only charges 500. It basically depends on obviously it also depends upon the distance, and I also do think that ambulance in India is not that much expensive as it is in America. So yeah, I really enjoyed this video, and yes, we have to say that this video was informative.
Yes, in India the ambulance can maximally charge like $10, $20 at max. But having this much disparity, I don't think so. Your ambulance has all the MRI scanners or CT scanners inside in that ambulance. Other than that, they just have the normal first aid things and some additional things. So why do they charge so much? Like, what do they need to charge for that? So that is one question. And also the other thing is like the sales tax thing. In India it is not there. In India it is maximum retail price, MRP. In that MRP, all the taxes are added previously only. So like they do it. The company has to like calculate all the taxes of dealers and everything, and they put it, and all the margins of the retailers and everyone has to be calculated by them only, and then they pass it on. It is not like the retailer wants to sell it for more, they can sell it. No. Only the maximum retail price that is written or printed can only be charged. So that is, I think so, one good thing I think so we have. So there are some things that Americans don't want to change, like the metric system. They just don't want to change it into it. But yes, other things were some very common things like having pharmacies, and pharmacies can sell groceries also and can sell drinks also. So those are very uncommon things. So what do you guys think about it? Do let us know in the comment section below. So do like, share and
subscribe.
Bye.